being model students, helping the elderly when in need, obeying our parents, doing house chores,
and sharing the true faith are just some of the qualities that young members of the Church of Christ possess.
As members of the Church of Christ, it is fundamental for the youth to always live according to the true Christian values.
This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesianicristo.
Ready? Focus. Lock in. Buckle down. From the Great Lakes to all corners of the globe, let your passions shine with purpose in your zone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another broadcast of In Your Zone, brought to you by INCRadio, North and Midwest Satellite Studio. I am your host for today, Gabriel Romero, from the local congregation of Bloomingdale in the Ecclesiastical District of Great Lakes. We're so glad to have you with us. Today, we get to learn more about the hobbies, passions, and interests of our brethren in this part of the globe. And please feel free to share your thoughts and comments with us in our YouTube live chat. And I'm personally excited for this topic because I haven't dabbled in it too much for a while, but like I really have a great nostalgia factor from it, and I always like reminisce about it whenever like I'm stressed as an adult. So and I'm sure many of you will also relate to this because it is part of our childhood as well, and you'll see what I'm talking about in our broadcast as we reveal our guest in our topic for today. And when we first begin our focus segment. And without further ado, let's say hi to our guest for this afternoon. She is from the local congregation of Lexington, Kentucky, if I am not mistaken. And I'll have her introduce herself right now. Good afternoon.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shaina Gomez, and I am from the District of Great Lakes in the Lexington GWS.
Hey, thanks for joining us. And we will soon see, hopefully, if our connection comes up because it looks like it's a little spotty. Right now, for those who don't know, Chicago is under a bit of a weather advisory, well, a storm warning actually. So we're supposed to get a couple of inches, about a foot of snow maybe. So we apologize in advance if our connection isn't crystal clear. But on to China once again. I think we'll have our overlay down below shortly, but if for those who see us on YouTube and have seen the title of our broadcast today, you, Shaina, are a game collector turned intake supervisor. Again, I think we can tell from your background that you are very interest is not even the word, but you really do love video games. And how did this journey in your love of video games begin?
Well, Abe, I mean, everybody grew up having video games, as you can see. I think it's a part of everybody's lives in some way or another, whether you had your own or you went to you know, different places that had these games. It was affected in your life's period. And I think what's really cool is that when I started, I wasn't into video games actually. um, Everybody during the time of 2020, when the pandemic started, it was a very bad time for a lot of people, to the point where everyone was kind of stuck inside their own homes. And one of those things that brought, you know, comfort and just, help remove all the negativity that's going on outside the real world were games. It just so happened that, you probably dug up something from your house and you're like, oh, let's play this. Or you already had a Nintendo Switch at the time and we're playing Animal Crossing. Um, it was one of those things where I was like, oh, I really liked Pokemon back then. Let me see what games I had. And from then on, I realized that, oh, these games are increasing in price now. Why is that? And I just think it was interesting that the big boom happened during that time. And at that point, it was like, oh, I could collect my favorite Pokemon games and the games that I wanted as a kid at the time. And unfortunately, just because of how expensive these games were, it was hard to afford them. So now that I'm older, I was able to collect a lot of these games that I wish I had, and it just snowballed into something that ended up becoming a career. And that was pretty much the start of it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. Like for me, like COVID, not only was it a time of, getting into games that were released. Um, Very thankful like we had digital downloads also then, so that we didn't have to like go out and actually, buy them, but like online. And yeah, we were able to build. Yeah, I think you mentioned like Animal Crossing. Yeah, that's definitely one of the games where you immediately, like, were able to connect in a community type of sense, right? Like with COVID, we were all very lonely and like isolated, and I couldn't, visit each other in person, so we had to resort to, digital means, and Animal Crossing was a big part of that. For you, video games was where like your boom, or I guess discovery in a sense, was
Yeah.
during the pandemic. For me, it was K-pop, but that's like a whole different adventure. That's a whole different story. That's a
Oh, that
topic
was
for
in
that's a
your zone
topic
for
for
you, Abe.
that's a topic for another time. And I will say my collection is not as immense as what we see behind you. My K-pop collection is not as immense as your video game collection is what you have behind. But going back to video games, like you mentioned, like over the course of the pandemic, you realize the value in these games. And how were you able to expand your collection? Because like you were saying, like times were tough, and we don't necessarily have the means to buy every single game that we wanted, and like remember from when we were children. So like how were you able to amass your collection?
Yeah. So it all started with being able to actually do like garage sales and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, Thankfully, it was outside, so it was bad to still go outside, but it wasn't as bad. And I was able to pick up like games. I was like, oh, this was $1. I might as well pick this up. And at that time, I wasn't looking at values or anything like that. I was
Mhm.
doing it purely because I was like, oh, I recognize this. It's $1. Let me go ahead and pick it up. And then the interest came is when I picked it up and I was like, oh, this game is like $60. Cool. And I never really was interested in it. Once I was over the phase, I sold it and I was able to get more games. So that way I was able to actually like start off small
Mhm.
and increase my collection through selling different games that I'm probably not interested in or wasn't, you know, wanted to collect. And that way I was able to acquire, in my case, Nintendo products. So able to grab a lot of that and start building it from there.
Nice. And then on and on, you're continuing to collect all of these games. You're learning more about like the value in these games, right? From, I'm sure, classics to unopened games, because I think there may be a couple behind you, I'm not too sure. But over time, like you've developed like that sense, that knowledge, and eventually that led you to your current career, your current job, which you have now, which is an intake supervisor. And for those who don't know, could you quickly describe what an intake supervisor does? Because I hadn't heard of that, unless that's just my line of work and like I've never had to know what that is. But for those who also don't know, what does an intake supervisor do?
Yeah, so basically, I got a new job this year, where I am actually working with a YouTuber. This YouTuber is located in Lexington, and is considered almost the big three of video game collecting. For those that are watching right now and have possibly may have heard of this, I am uh, under the business with Quick Flips, which is owned by a YouTuber named Phoenix Resell.
Okay.
He has about 500,000 subscribers in his main channel. And he pretty much did exactly what I did. He started in 2019. And now he has opened up a business just because he's been, selling a lot of games on Amazon and stuff like that.
Okay.
And we're about to make 5 million this year. So it's kind of, you know, insane that we're able to kind of gross this huge amount that, you know, is all our business is all about video games. And basically what my job is, I'm basically a supervisor. Under me, I do have employees. And what we basically do, we have a website called Quick Flips, and people can sell their video games through there, whether it's something that you figured out you have an amazing collection and you're like, I really could use the money right now, I could sell it on there. We would pay more higher than like other competitors or local GameStop and stuff like that, so that you try to get as much value for your things as much as possible. We get them in, we inspect it, we make sure everything is okay, and then we get you paid. So essentially, it's almost like an infinite unboxing video. Every box, if you look up our channel, Quick Flips, you'll
Mhm.
see me there a lot where I am opening these boxes, and I never know what's inside it till I, open the box. So sometimes it'll be like $1,000 that we're paying for a customer. Sometimes I just did one on Monday, which is 5,000. Um, and I just think it's pretty cool that people are able to, if this is one of the wanted to do as their hobby, they can sell to us, and then basically we'll just go inspect it, make sure everything is clean, and we, push it forward towards um, our product line. But it's supposed to be an easy way for customers to get good money for their video games.
Nice. And so, I guess in addition to that, I'm curious what to get a more, I guess, a in-depth look at your job. What types of things do you look for when valuing these games? Because of course, like on the surface, if I compare it to, you know, to bring it, I'm trying to like bring in K-pop as much as I can, kind of, but like there are some that are like limited edition in a sense, also ones that are just classic and like like stood the test of time, and like with that nostalgia factor. Like what qualities do you look for when you value the games that you receive?
Yeah. And I think that's what basically I got hired straight away as a supervisor. I didn't have to, start from the bottom and climb all the way up. Before actually going into Quick Flips, which is my current job as an intake supervisor,
Yeah.
I was a district manager of a video game retail store called Game Exchange.
Okay.
I don't know if there's some people that are like, oh, I know what Game Exchange is. I
Hmm.
was a district manager for Game Exchange, and I've managed over maybe 10 stores in the state of Kentucky. So I had a lot of experience prior about, you know, oh, I can tell authenticity. I can tell, if, this game is limited edition, what makes it limited edition. There's variant, copies just like in K-pop with different, photo cards and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Same thing for video games. There's like a stamp. There could be a misspelling. Something like that just creates value into certain games, and that's what my job is for. Everything is listed on the website, and you essentially like say like, oh, I have a limited edition Pokemon game,
Yeah.
and you select the title, you ship it in, and I open it, I verify it's the correct one. If it's not, I try to adjust it accordingly. Sometimes people send in limited edition stuff, and they didn't even know it was limited edition, and we give them credit for it. So it's really the knowledge of the people, like our intake team, which is what is my team to make sure that we have the knowledge to give the correct, adjustments that we need so that it's even and fair and just.
Nice. Okay, and I'm sure like when you're telling your customers or like your clients like, "Oh, your collection that you have is actually worth this much." I have a feeling that many are like surprised by like the the amount that you tell them. Are there any, stories that like customers have like told you about like, the history behind their games and like maybe they're surprised in how much it's worth, or like have they ever told you stories about like why they've kept them for so long? Is it nostalgia, or like are there any other factors that have played into things you hear on a daily basis?
No, absolutely. So um, it really ties into when I was working retail under Game Exchange.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we would have people come in and not know we exist because if you think about it, there's not video games is starting to become a thing where, like you said, it's become digital. Um, People say physical media is not really a thing that's going to last long, so it's kind of hard for people, especially in this day and age where we have Xbox that has
Yeah.
Game Passes where essentially you get free games every month.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when we talk about the retro games, they don't disappear. Your old Mario games, which I'm sure a lot of you titas and titos played before. Maybe your kids played a Pokemon. All they talked about was wanting Pokemon games. Maybe they're now, old like me and Abe here. But maybe, that's the whole point is bringing up nostalgia. Like I
Mm-hmm.
remember when my kid played this. And more than once I've had customers tell me like, the things in here brings me back to when I was a kid or brings me back when my kids were just little and now, they're doing this and doing that. And I think it's really cool that basically you're able to make these kinds of connections with customers that enter the store. Not like, Walmart where people just random people come in and it's just, shopping, this and that.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to make these connections with every customer that comes in the door because they came in there for a reason. And being like, oh, I can't believe you played this. We have it right here. And even if they don't buy it, for them to be like, oh my gosh, I remember that. And I just think those types of things, the nostalgia feeling is such a powerful feeling. And it's something you can only get if you're able to see or reminisce. So I think that's what really cool about video games is that it taps into some part of your life one way or another. So
Speaking of reminiscing, I think we're gonna go on to our next segment now, and it's for everyone tuning into our YouTube live chat. So what we're gonna do, this is our lock-in segment. What we're gonna do now is Shina has with her. Well, obviously you can tell, but with her more closely, she has a bunch of systems and games with her. So we're gonna maybe get a taste of what her job is like, if that's a good way to describe it,
yeah.
and try
So
to value what she has.
yeah, so this will be a fun activity.
Okay.
Um, if you have any of these items in your basement or attic or your kid's gaming room, this is the time to start guessing because you never know some of the value of the games I'm about to show to you all.
Okay.
But I'm gonna try to go through oldest to newest,
Ooh.
um,
Okay.
and see if maybe you guys recognize some of these growing up or you've bought your kids these before. But
All right.
I'll show you our first item here.
So those in our
Uh,
YouTube live chat, make sure to comment because we're gonna read some of your comments and see how close you're gonna get to the value. All right. So please fill up our YouTube live chat when you can. All right. First item.
All right, first item. I have the original Game Boy. I don't know if uh, anyone knows. Some some kids are like, "What is that?" This is the first handheld in America that really took off. Uh, it's big, it's bulky. You don't see these a lot often, and thankfully, I have one that works with a copy of Pokemon Yellow. So a game from 1998. So
Yeah.
I think when I was born. So it does go back. And
Mm,
any guesses? Maybe not with the game, but how much
okay.
this Game Boy? No cheating, no eBay.
Okay. So again, we're
How much?
guessing just the console itself. right. Um,
Right.
I know I can't look at it too closely, but I have to be critical. Do we have any like scratches, or are the speakers in good condition?
Well, let's
Well,
say we'll say condition regardless.
okay, so
Uh,
we're just gonna assume it's perfect, or like
yeah.
ideal.
Well, what's really cool about video game collecting is sometimes the condition, as long as it's not severe, can get almost a good price. As long as we have conditions called loose, missing manual, complete. This is be considered loose because it does not have the cardboard box. It does not have any of like the manuals for the game. So it will still meet the requirements of loose, no matter what condition it will be in.
Okay, here. I'm gonna read off a couple of well, at least the general range of what I see in our YouTube live chat. I've got from between 90 to $250.
Well, that's
Is
a
any
little optimistic.
That's optimistic. Okay, so I'm assuming do our YouTube live chat have to get higher than,
Well,
or
since
maybe?
it is an original Game Boy,
Okay.
um, not it's mostly for collecting purposes. There are newer devices that can pretty much do what this can do
Right.
and has color. Because if I turn it on for you guys to see, it does not have color. It
Uh,
is pretty
our
much a contrast screen. So
uh,
this would be valued about $50 to $60 on its
okay.
own.
All right. So I think the closest who I saw was Noah there, who said 90. So not too not too far off, or 50, $60. So all right. Okay, that was cool. Yeah, I see my mom in our YouTube live chat. Yes, I still do have it. Oh, she said to sell it already. I don't know if I want to let go of it quite yet. Quite yet. Okay, let's go on to the next game or console, whichever you have next to show.
All right. So next is what's going to get you in trouble. Um, this is called the Game Boy SP. I don't
Okay.
know if you guys ever had something like this. Um, this one is the ones that can flip, as you can see. So the point was to put it in your pocket so that you could pretty much bring it wherever you'd like. It's not as bulky a size comparison as the original Game Boy. So it is more advanced. It can play a lot of generational games, and you can see there the screen is super bright. And
Yes.
I know the color is pink, but uh, that is not actually what makes this expensive. So I'll dive into it once I get a few guesses of how much this Game Boy is worth.
All right. Let's see if anyone in our YouTube live chat has a guess of again the Game Boy SP. I had while we get some guesses in, yeah, I remember I was telling you before our broadcast, but I had the edition that was the Nintendo controller themed, and I'm pretty sure I still have that somewhere at home. I have to look. And I don't know if you have an idea of when that came out. I want to say, not to completely age myself right now, but I want to say, is it around like I was gonna say like 03 to like maybe like 06 ish, somewhere there. Because I remember playing. I think you may reveal it later. Another game that I played on the SP. So I'm gonna say maybe around 03 to 06, if that helps our YouTube guests, our those in our chat, maybe think of their estimates. But I'm seeing right now. Okay, we've got a bit of a wider range for this one. I think the lowest I've seen is 40, and it goes all the way up to. I think this is a maybe a familiar name to you, but she guessed 300 from I think that's Sister Mercy. 300.
That's my mom.
Uh,
Hi, Mom.
familiar name. I was right. So 40 to 3, a big range there. 40 to 300. So is anyone, are they in the right ballpark, or is or do I need to like narrow your range a bit, because that does seem a bit wide. 40 to 300.
Well, no, that's it's right in the middle actually. This one, this particular model, because it has the bright screen as you can see,
Hmm.
You didn't have to like look at the light when you were driving to see it. This one is actually worth almost $200
Ooh.
loose.
Okay.
If you
Right.
had the box and everything, you could get about 400 or 500 for it.
Nice. Ooh. Okay. Yeah. So remember that for those in our YouTube live chat, right? There's a difference in value between items that are loose, open box, or ones that are boxed or still in the box, closed. Right? Is that's
Correct.
a good term to call it. And I think the closest I saw was Joanna, who said 180. So
Wow, she's good. I think
very
she's also from Lexington.
cool. She's from Chesterton, I think.
Oh, Chesterton. Okay.
Joanna Kalfas from
Yeah.
Chesterton. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. Yeah, but yeah, Glyza said 200 question mark question mark question mark. Yes, roughly 200 for
Yes.
those.
And if for your mom, your value of your console, I think, could get about 250.
Oh, mom, cover your ears. I don't want to get rid of that one either. Okay, I think we can. I don't know if we have. Let's see, what time do we have? Maybe we can throw in a game before we wrap up our show. So just
Sure.
one game if you have.
All right. So we're going to go back to maybe one that a lot of you may have. And maybe some of you guys are regretting giving these to your pinsan in the Philippines. But we have here on the Nintendo DS Pokemon Diamond, the
Oh.
first Pokemon game to release on this, maybe for the people that don't know, a Nintendo DS. So if you have this,
Mm-hmm.
usually this game right here, Pokemon Diamond, and it is complete in box.
Ooh. Okay.
Well, it does have everything.
Okay. So inbox not played, I assume. Or
Played. This is
oh,
mine.
this is played. Okay. 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 But we're assuming, we're not considering all those factors. But for those in our YouTube live chat, I will say this is a console newer than the SP and definitely older than the Game Boy which we saw first. If that helps everyone there in value. Um yeah, so we can guess here again the diamond game. So this one, honestly I still see a bit whenever I go to like, the retail stores. Some. Okay. Again, we're guessing the value of the game, right? Just to
Yes.
clarify for those in our YouTube live chat, because I I don't think these are right. Sorry for those in our YouTube live chat, but they're valuing that Pokemon Diamond game a bit higher than the consoles. Um, okay, like I'm seeing ones. Okay, the lowest I saw. Okay, maybe some heard me and then are reconsidering their estimate because I've seen there are some in our YouTube live chat. Again, this is just for the game. Um, we're going into the 250, 400. The highest I think I see is 400. Okay, but Aaron, brother Aaron goes $50. So, I think that's the lowest I've seen so far, 50. But again, there's other guesses that have gone up to, the hundreds, 400. I think. Oh, I even see a 500 from brother Jerry. Okay, Glyza also goes back to $50. So,
All
um,
right. Well, Brother Aaron and the other brethren almost got it right. So the game is itself is worth 50, actually. But
okay.
if it was complete with the art and the manual
Mm.
and the game, it would probably be around high $100 for just this game, Pokemon Diamond.
Okay. All right. So I think yeah, they both hit the nail on the head there. 49.50. So the Lopez siblings, you got it. $49.50. Okay. But again, you said it was it 100-ish for the complete
Correct.
case manual?
Right. Because usually at this point, people want to collect them.
Yeah.
So if you had it with just the cartridge like this,
Hmm.
uh, that's what makes it $50. But if you had the full whole box, you would get $100.
Okay. Yeah, so for I guess another tip for those in our live chat, don't throw away the boxes.
Yeah, don't throw
Like
away the boxes.
yeah. This also I think goes to you could expand that thinking a little bit to go back to K-pop. The CD cases and those boxes
Correct.
that you
Photo
have.
cards and
Um,
the outer sleeve, even.
yeah, the sleeve. And if you collect, those figurines, like the Funko figurines. For those who don't know what those are, they're like they could be bobblehead, could not be, but keeping those in their boxes too again increases their value. So, I guess tips for those in our YouTube live chat. But as our time is coming to a close. Yeah, I told you 30 minutes goes by really fast. We thank you, Shina, for sharing your knowledge of video games with us and giving us also a taste of what your job is like on a day-to-day basis. And it does sound like a lot of fun. You get to hear, all the stories from your customers, and also, I guess, look back at some games and you don't realize like, oh, I haven't seen this game in such a long time. So I'm sure it is a daily adventure every time that
Yes.
you go to work. So, any last comments or shout outs that you want to give before we wrap up our show?
No, thank you, Abe. And if you guys want to see more about different video games, you can check us out on YouTube. Quick Clips, where you basically get to see us build our video game store. We actually have a physical store now in Lexington, Kentucky. So if you're stopping by for the all you can eat KFC, feel free to stop by in our store where you can come and meet me and meet and see a bunch of different things. And I've only shown you maybe 0.5% of different things that we can offer in the store. And don't forget after this to check with your kids or check in within your parents to make sure if you guys still have these, because you'd be surprised on a lot of their values.
I have to make sure that my collection, some of it doesn't go missing. Before I leave. So
Yeah.
thank you again, Shaina, for joining us in our broadcast. And we thank you all for those who've tuned in to our broadcast this afternoon. We would like to thank all of you who've joined us and give also special shout outs to those celebrating their local anniversaries in the month of November, because it's still November here. November 2, we'd like to give a shout out to Detroit, who celebrated the anniversary then, Chicago, who celebrated on November 8th, and Grand Rapids, who celebrated on November 22nd. In the District of Great Lakes, we would like to give our shout outs and appreciation to our Assistant District Minister, Brother Art Agag, our District Minister, Brother Elmer Sarmiento, and a very special thanks for those who are helping us in INC Radio, our station manager, Brother Wally Taray, our Deputy Executive Minister, Brother Angelo Oranyo Manalo, and our Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo. Again, we thank you all so much for allowing us to have this platform to share the hobbies, interests, and passions of our brethren here in the District of Great Lakes. Again, we will see you once again next week at the same time, 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And lastly, do not forget that in your zone is where you and your passions shine the brightest. Thank you so much. We will see you again next time. Take care and stay safe.